So I feel a need and a want to make this series also that people can see that a lot of things that were, I think, to be typically told as a person being raised Baptist. I'm not a Baptist now. I didn't want to be a Baptist at 16, so I told my parents I didn't want to be a Baptist, and I don't relate to any of that. I do go to a Baptist church now, but at the same time, they aren't religious. And if they choose to participate in religious practices, I'm not going to participate. And I realized that a lot of the things that I was told when I was younger, a lot of things aren't based off of biblical principles or scripture or God and I think people need to hear that and know that it's just it's not true. So the first one I'm going to talk about is spare the rod, spoil the child. That quote, because I was repeatedly told that when I was younger, when I was older, when I told my parents that I felt like I shouldn't have been getting spankings, but they weren't really spanking me. They honestly were beating me. And I also told them that they were wrong for that too. And they, instead of actually listening, they said, spare the rod, spoil the child. And that verse, which isn't actually a verse because that's not in the Bible, is Proverbs 13, chapter 13, verse 24. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth his chasteneth him betimes. So, couple things. A rod in the Bible that I looked up is referring to a shepherd. When a shepherd is herding their sheep, they use rods, and they use that to keep the sheep in line, but they're not like hitting their sheep. They're coasting them along in the correct direction. So, in this verse, it's saying that he that spareth his rod, so that doesn't correct their kid, hate their kid. So that means if you have a kid and you let your kid like not be corrected at all, then you hate your kid. That's what it's saying. It's not saying that if you don't hit your kid, then you hate your kid. And then the second part, but he that loveth his chastine him betimes. So that word, because I looked it up, so the definition on Google says refined, but if you look it up in terms of Bible, it means correct or reprimand. So he that refined him or corrects him, and then betimes means on occasion. But if you look it up by Bible, it means early. So he that loves his son reprimands him early. So that means that verse means he that literally okay, he that I think this is crazy. Anyway, he that doesn't correct his son with he that doesn't direct his son hates him, but he that loves him corrects him early. So that means like when you're little, when you're young, when you're a kid. And oh my goodness. Um and then I looked up, quote, spare the rod, spoil the child in the Bible, right? Because I wanted to see where it came from. And I found an article on Christian.com, and it's written by Amy Swanson. And it says, origin of that, spare the rod, spoil the child. It says, commonly claimed to have come from the King James Version of the Bible, Book of Proverbs 13:24. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, as I just said. It says, due to the association spoil concept, which is not in the Bible, it more likely came from a 17th century poem by Samuel Butler called Hudibras. In the poem, a love affair is likened to a child, and spanking is mockingly commended as a way to make the love grow stronger. The actual verse reads, what medicine else can cure the fits of lovers when they lose their wits? Love is a boy by poets styled, then spare the rod and spoil the child. So y'all telling me that for almost 29 years, I've been hearing this, and it's not even in the Bible. It's a poem. It took me a couple days to make this because I was so angry. I was mad, but I was also extremely sad because I was like, so many people have been literally using this as a way to justify hitting their kids. And a lot of the times, I've never heard of a parent that is properly like spanking their kid. I've only heard of parents that are beating their kids. And I'm like, this is from a poem. And these people are quoting it like it's scripture. And not only that, this poem is toxic. It's talking about a love affair is likened to a child, and spanking is mockingly commended as a way to make the love grow stronger. They're making fun of the concept in the poem. And that's what you guys are using as a way to justify doing that. Also, that kind of sounds like Stockholm syndrome a little bit to me. Like when they like do something terrible to a person, and then they're like, oh well, it wasn't this, so it's not as bad. I think that's terrible. But this is actually a really interesting article, and I would suggest reading that if anyone has some spare time. And that is today's episode. Thank you and goodbye.